Just indulge me here for a minute, but do deadlines need to go in the entertainment industry? Hear me out. I wanted to touch on this subject after reading this Wired article about the new Super Mario Bros. Wonder video game. Our family just got this game a couple days ago for Christmas and is so fun, so adorable, so funny with the talking plants, and most importantly, so unique. It's just another 2D Mario side-scroller, right? Wrong! There are moments where the level completely changes right where you are, power-ups you've never seen before like becoming an elephant, badges that give you certain powers that are helpful in very unique circumstances, which allows you to get to different parts of the level when you play it over again. The map is open world, so you're not limited to a linear path. Essentially, Nintendo has taken a format that has been around for decades and made it completely new and fresh. But why is that? What could possibly allow that kind of creative freedom? How could all these unique ideas be brought to the table to be considered, reworked, and refined? 2 words: no deadline. That's right. Nintendo didn't want any pressure on the team and wanted them to make the game they wanted. They didn't want to take the wind out of anyone's sails and say, oof, I don't know. You think you can pull that off by such and such a date? Well, good luck. No, none of that. Just make it how you want it and we'll be here cheering you on. And it's a fantastic game. Probably my new favorite game after Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Oh yeah, another Nintendo game that exceeded expectations even though there was enormous pressure on the Zelda team to make a sequel as good as the beloved Breath of the Wild. Of course, fans wanted a sequel immediately after Breath of the Wild's massive success and high praise, but Tears of the Kingdom didn't come out until 6 years later. Breath of the Wild was originally slated to be released in 2015 on the Wii U, but was pushed back to 2017 to come out with the release of the first wave of Nintendo Switches. And it paid off in dividends. So Nintendo is doing something right. But speaking of a Switch, let's focus on Dolby Atmos for a minute. It's become a household name since its inception into the home theater space in 2016. It dominates the streaming game with most major releases on Netflix, Disney+, Max, Prime Video, and Apple TV Plus being mixed in Atmos. But that's just it. Everything is being mixed in Atmos now, spreading it far too thin, watering down its overall quality because of the high demand and Dolby's willingness to slap the Atmos logo on virtually any product that's willing to pay their licensing fee. Have you ever heard of the project management triangle? The 3 apexes are represented by quality, cost, and time, and they all affect each other. You want it fast and cheap? The quality is going to be garbage. You want it fast and high quality? You'll need to pay lots of money to accommodate a massive crew to get it done by the deadline you've set. Honestly, that's why you pay a premium for next day air with companies like UPS or FedEx. So going back to Dolby Atmos, let's pick the latest Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, for example. Now, I haven't seen it in my proper theater, but I've been told that the height effects were largely just the musical score, which is very disappointing, given the scope of the franchise and the many effects that could have been swirling around the top layer of audio, right? Another recent example is Rebel Moon, basically Zack Snyder's take on Star Wars released on Netflix. I had a conversation on the phone about it with my buddy Chana, aka Technodad, who even went the extra mile and disconnected his ear-level speakers just so he could isolate the height effects, and there were almost none throughout the entire movie. Don't be fooled by your ears, folks. The LFE channel was huge though, so at least it had that going for it. But the height effects in Rebel Moon are almost non-existent. And I believe Chana will be coming out with a video soon going over that in more detail. So stay tuned. On the opposite side of the spectrum is Gravity from 2013. The home media release was the first ever encoded in Dolby Atmos. And to this day, it's one of the very best, most immersive soundtracks available when it comes to the potential of what Dolby Atmos can achieve. And do you know why? Time and money. Atmos was brand new, so they wanted to experiment with it. What can it do? How realistic can we get? Can we make it sound like we're actually inside Sandra Bullock's helmet? How can we really sell this feeling of disorientation in space by having George Clooney's voice traveling all around the soundstage? And they pulled it off. They took the time and energy to get it right and spent every penny they could to achieve a level of quality that is only matched by a handful of releases since then. So why can't Hollywood follow Nintendo's model and just get rid of deadlines? If a project needs more time to reach that level of quality like Gravity, so be it. I know many projects get pushed back due to creative problems like a director being fired or a writer's strike or COVID for that matter, but why does it have to be a specific date that's laid out years in advance? What I can't stand is when a studio comes out with a release date even before a script has been finalized. I understand how some directors, not all, but some directors may need a deadline in order to get their asses in gear, you know? Otherwise they might drag their feet if the pressure to finish just isn't there. So I get that. And I also get that before a film's release, a studio needs to plan for the trailers that will come out, and the marketing and press junkets with the cast need to be scheduled out. They don't want to compete with another potential blockbuster or release something that might statistically fail due to the time of year, blah, blah, blah. There's so much to account for before the release of a major motion picture. I know. So yeah. It's a little tricky gray area when dealing with theatrical releases specifically, because the theaters need to know in advance so they can have enough screens available, etc. So this notion of getting rid of deadlines altogether is just a pipe dream of mine, I know. But streaming platforms? Now that's another story. I follow Netflix on Instagram, and months before the release of Rebel Moon, my feed was flooded with behind the scenes clips and interviews with the cast and other BS that surrounds anything that's big on Netflix. But why not just save all that for after its release? Keep it in the conversation for a while. I know they want to build up anticipation before something comes out, sure. You want an audience to look forward to its release, yada yada yada. But maybe just flood my feed with promo materials 1 week prior? When a new movie or TV show gets released on a streaming platform, I'm okay with surprise, since all I have to do is hit enter on my remote control and watch it. Boom. Easy. Not too much effort on my part, right? If you want to surprise me with something that's been kept a secret for so long because it needed lots of time to be the best possible quality, so be it. Let's look at the music industry for a moment. In 2013, Beyoncé released her self-titled album out of the blue. Both her fans and music industry professionals knew nothing about its release until bam, it was there on iTunes. Granted, she was able to keep it a secret easier since it was first exclusively released on iTunes, so she worked very closely with Apple to keep it on the down low. And it was a smash hit. I mean, it is Beyoncé after all. Millions of copies sold on the first day, and she took the necessary time to make the album how she wanted it. Another example is Tool. They are notorious for keeping an album's release under lock and key, going years between albums because they don't care what their fans demand. It's not up to them anyway. They want to flesh out and rework their songs as long as possible, so they finish the album exactly how they want it. No pressure, no deadlines, just doing it for art's sake. Not because some suit is breathing down their necks. Switching gears to books, George R.R. Martin still hasn't released the final Game of Thrones book, The Winds of Winter. It's been over 13 years since his last book and fans still can't wait. But he refuses to release it under pressure. He wants it to be the best quality possible, so he's going to take as much time as he needs. Although he has claimed that he's been suffering from some severe writer's block, which hasn't helped the situation. And even if it takes him 20 years total to finish it, clearly we all still have our own opinions about if it was worth the wait, but that's another topic entirely. HBO was hoping it would come out before they finished the series, but they decided to go ahead on their own anyway, and we all know how season 8 turned out. But that's just it. Not enough time is being taken to put out the best possible quality product because corners are cut when deadlines and release dates are coming sooner than anticipated. But I don't mean to say that no deadlines means everything will be golden. There will still be flops, of course, but I believe we'll get more quality overall. But going back to the most recent Indiana Jones film, that was Skywalker Sound, one of the most renowned, well-respected post-production facilities on the planet. And yet they came out with a disappointing Atmos mix? Obviously everyone who works there has been vetted and is the best of the best when it comes to audio engineering. So who or what is to blame? Time. As I stated earlier, Atmos is now expected with major releases because it has become the industry standard. It's no longer on this untouchable pedestal that only certain facilities have access to. No, it's everywhere. And like Syndrome said in The Incredibles,
and when everyone's super, no one will be.
I've seen plenty of comments suggesting that it's the mixing engineer's fault that most Atmos mixes suck. But But that's not the case either. Anyone who has been hired with that kind of expertise is there for a reason and is very capable of creating an engaging mix. So again, if a crappy Atmos mix is the end product, it is the result of those three apexes in the project management triangle not being evenly balanced. I bet they were given a window of time that was impossible to work in to deliver an immersive, dynamic, and incredible sounding Atmos mix. Or perhaps given a budget of peanuts and thought, well, you get what you pay for. Here you go. So I know this entire topic is so far-fetched and will most likely never happen, but why can't Hollywood adopt a business model more like Nintendo or the book or music industries, where it just takes an indeterminate amount of time to make a quality product? Why can't it be just a given that it will take more time than an executive might think to create another Atmos mix like Gravity? Even Technodad himself has done a few remixes in Dolby Atmos and told me it took forever to finish one song, turning so many audio stems into objects, panning them around the soundstage, etc. It's not easy. Quality takes time. You can't cut corners, period. So why trouble yourself with a release date that is nearly impossible to meet, resulting in a product that is subpar because they had this compulsion to just get content out there? COVID changed everything about the movie industry. And yet Hollywood is still trying to stick with the same formulas. There are those saying that the art is gone from filmmaking, and now with streaming platforms, it's just a priority on making content. Just the term content is like a four-letter word to so many in Hollywood, since it's all that executives care about anymore. My life wouldn't be any different if there wasn't a new Marvel movie for, say, 5 years straight. It wouldn't affect me personally in any way. But then if they surprise the crap out of me with the most amazing X-Men movie I've ever seen that they kept secret all along, and it obliterates box office records because it is a quality story with incredible performances, the CGI looks photorealistic, and the Atmos mix is superb because they took the time necessary to make all those facets the best they could be, I could get behind that. Couldn't you? Everything is non-linear now. Back in the day, everything was on a schedule with programming chosen for you. Songs on the radio, news and morning shows on the radio, TV shows, movies in the movie theater. The only way to break away from that and have things on demand back in the day was to own physical media. 8-track tapes, vinyl records, cassette tapes, beta tapes, VHS tapes, CDs, DVDs. Then the iPod came out, which suddenly made mobile music on demand. Then movies and TVs followed suit. No one is forced to watch what's on anymore like broadcast TV used to be. Everyone can pick and choose what they want to watch when they want to watch it. A non-linear approach to entertainment. Deadlines and release dates are linear. So can Hollywood please get with the times and switch to a non-linear approach and forget about deadlines? We'll watch what we want, when we want, regardless. End of story. Okay. Thank you for bearing with me on another soapbox video. It's just that time of year, you know? 2024 is almost here, so I'm reflecting back on 2023 with all its hits and misses, and I want to see some change. So I hope this somehow makes waves maybe to those who are high up in their fields, or just be some cheap entertainment for those on YouTube. Whatevs. Bottom line is, conversations like this need to happen in order for change to be enacted. As always, please be kind to each other out there. Don't just watch TV and movies, experience them. And of course, always be listening.